Good afternoon, and welcome to Wesley Wednesday. I haven't been here for a while, but now that summer is here and it's time to be more active and it's warmer in the church, I thought I'd take this opportunity to resume this series. However, I'd like to do something a little different with it, and that's explain a little bit about the pipe organ that I play here that so much has to do with informing Wesley Wednesdays. This instrument was built in 1951. It is now having its 70th anniversary this year, and it's pretty much all original. Nothing much has been changed since 1951. When most people think of a pipe organ, of course, they think of something that is very large and has a tremendous sound, which of course this instrument does. But not many people think about how the pipe organ makes it sound and how the person playing it is able to bring those sounds out for them to listen to. The first thing people see when they approach a pipe organ console, and that's what this is called. This is not the organ. The organ is actually up in chambers on either side of me in the church. This is the control center. And unlike a piano, which only has one keyboard, this particular instrument has three. And each of the keyboards connect to a different part of the organ itself. And once again, unlike a piano, when you go to the piano and you plunk a key, well, here you won't get anything unless I engage some of the controls that make it speak. But first I'd like to look at the keyboards themselves. If you're a piano player, you will immediately see that I don't quite have as many keys here. The organ keyboard is normally only about 61 notes. And you say that might be a little restrictive, and it is, and that is why we have keys to be played by our feet. And there are 32 keys down here to which the organist plays with his feet, and that adds greatly to the response of the instrument in its lower registers. So what do each of these keyboards do? In most organs, the center keyboard here contains the foundation's sounds of the instrument. The top keyboard up here usually contains sounds that are both of a more romantic as well as perhaps a spicier character. And the lower keyboard in an American pipe organ usually contains the softest sounds, as the keyboard itself is called the choir. And while, of course, you can accompany the choir from any of the keyboards, this has always been named for that purpose. Now, the interesting thing about all these things is they all interconnect together. And so tonight I'm going to just show you a couple of things about how to make sounds. And then in the next Wesley Wednesday, we will identify what these different sounds are. But first, we'll just see how they make a sound. These controls over here are what engage the different sets of pipes. And so if I play something and nothing happens, and I pull one of these out, something happens. These are called stops, which they do. I stopped the tone. So each of these stops over here produces a tone, which I will I just had one finger down there. That's one of the nice things about playing the pipe organ. You don't have to engage more fingers, but you do have to use your head about what different sounds to bring on. Now, the other thing that might be pointed out when it comes to the stops are there are stops that engage sounds, just as I did. There are also stops that are called mechanicals, and they interconnect things. For example, I'll go back to my middle C with my note here. There's also a middle C up here, which I'll play with this oboe. Now, by engaging one of these, which are called couplers, which combine the keyboards together, I can make this note play down here. And I can also make it play up an octave or down an octave. it is through these various combination mechanicals that the sound of the instrument can be altered, blended, changed, and made to match the music in ways that you certainly can't do with the piano, but match the music in ways that perhaps best reflect what the composer intended, or in the case of hymn singing, create a wide variety of possible accompaniments. So we have stops, we have couplers, and we have all these buttons. What are the buttons for? Well, as you just saw when I played my note and reached over here to pull things out, I was using two hands to do that. Well, if you're playing a hymn on Sunday, you usually have to use both hands. You know, you got lots of notes to play, and you don't have time to do that. These little buttons under here, which are called combination pistons, allow you to change the stops on the instrument while you're playing. And this is exceedingly handy when you're doing hymn work or rather large-scale organ compositions. And I'll just show, these are all adjustable, and I'll even show you how to do that. But let's just try one for example. I'm on the great keyboard, which is in the middle, and I'm going to punch number 1, and you see these 3 stops came on, making this sound. And I'm just going to go up the list to show you a little bit how different sounds are on here. Now all of these are adjustable, and I'll adjust one of them right now. To adjust the sound, you just push the piston in, and you either turn off or put on something different, and you release it, and presto, there it is. It may appear magical, and of course it was when it was invented, but you must remember this is a 1950 instrument. So all of these things that operate are all done mechanically, and in this case it's all being powered by a 10-volt electric generator and wind pressure, which is why it makes kind of a puffy sound when you activate one of these, because it's actually being activated by wind pressure, which enables the contacts to come together. So we have keyboards, we have stops that contain sound, we have couplers, and we have pistons that are enabling us to engage either an individual division, a great division, a swell division, a choir division, or everybody at once. And these things are what make organ playing both possible in the United States and fun if you like pushing buttons and arranging what the different buttons can do. A couple of words about the pedal, and then we'll move on next week to the tonal families. Pedal boards are usually 32 notes, and the pedals have their own stops over here in the pedal section, and it works the same way. Here's middle C on the pedal, here's middle C up here. And pedals usually produce the lowest notes of the pipe organ. Now above the pedals, you will see 3 expression shoes. And what they do on this instrument is they open and close a set of louvered shutters to make the organ softer or louder. And I'll use an example here with our great division. I will shut the shutters, and I'll have some stops there, and then I'm going to open it, and hopefully the speaker will say that it's louder. Not all organs have these types of expression pedals, but instruments certainly before 1960, most of those instruments were totally enclosed, and these expression pedals played a large role in what you were able to do. So that's a look at the console, and next time we will take a look at the tonal families, because every organ has 4 members of the family. Thank you for coming to Wesley Wednesday.